Good morning, and welcome. Welcome. Today is Wednesday, and this is the morning show where we're going to kick your day off right. Okay? This is where you show up every morning to get your day started with the right mindset, with the right attitude, and by the way, with the greatest people on the planet. You guys that show up every morning, you guys are amazing. Those of you that have dropped in when you can, I appreciate you so much. As you know, we are in the middle of a 30-day challenge. This is day 3, and man, everyone that's participating they're just doing so awesome. I mean, it's great. We've got a group going right now on the Telegram app, and people are posting their stories, what they're doing, decisions they're making, and it is inspiring. Like, I think that's the power of coming together is
Yes.
as you inspire people, you inspire one another, you receive as much as you give, and it's just a powerful thing. Now, something we started kind of impromptu, if you will, is we started doing Clubhouse. Right now we're live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and the TikTok, which, by the way, TikTok, I'm sorry, I don't have my Clubhouse feed sent to you. It's probably going to be about a week or two. I've got some things going on, but if you are on here, you want to be a part of the conversation, hop on either Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, or hop on the Clubhouse if you're on Clubhouse, and that'd be awesome. So anyways, we launched this. I just opened up a room and didn't say anything to anybody, and my friend Martinez, who's on Clubhouse, hopped in, and I'm like, Martinez, is that you? Are you on there? I've never done this before. This is crazy.
Yeah,
And there
that
he
was
is
awesome.
now.
It was awesome.
And then so I was like, I had such a good time with that. I told our 30-day group, look, if you guys will hop on here, I would love to, number one, celebrate what you guys are doing, but also if you have something to help, not just us, but people that watch this stream, drop this in. Let's have a conversation around it, and let's be helpful and add value. Well, Chelsea Rushing from Bristol hits me up, and Chelsea's like, I've got it. I've got something that I do in my career. It's helping my patients, and I believe it would be helpful for people that's wanting to do this challenge. So, Chelsea, are you still with us too?
I am. Good morning.
What is up? So we've got a fun conversation. By the way, yesterday was so much fun. It was so helpful to really talk out, understanding your behavior and your thinking. Matter of fact, this morning, Chelsea, I gotta say thank you because I walked into the gym today, and because the truth is, the story you told, I think everyone tells themselves that story, because you walk into a place and you see people that are more fit than you or more whatever, right? Like you can get that, like, what am I doing here? But I remembered the story and the things that we talked about, and I literally challenged that belief. I was like, why wouldn't I belong here? I mean, everyone's got to start somewhere. And by the way, I've showed up enough times that I think I do belong here, right? I got my own little locker that I go to, right? Like I've got a routine. I've been here, and look, if I like, this is a little trick that I tell myself as I guess this would be considered a CBT, a behavioral therapy, but I tell myself, look, am I going to be doing this 12 months from now? If so, I should do this today, because I will be so much better and so glad that I continued on when I hit that 12-month deal. So it's like I almost like commit myself to the future. Am I doing this 12 months from now? Good. Then let's keep going.
Yes, that's good.
That is great.
But anyways, so you guys are here, and I appreciate you guys, number one, showing up, being a part yesterday, and following back up today. I know everyone's got, we're all kind of meshing this into our schedule, which is the great thing about this Clubhouse app. But I just want to get a conversation started. As you know, Chelsea is what's the term? A clinical, how would you say your title?
I'm a licensed therapist.
Licensed therapist. Okay, I can remember that. Licensed therapist, doing great work in her career. And so she's going to be helping us a lot about great mental health. Me and her, and Brittany, we have great conversations when she comes in town and visits. So I wanted to talk to Chelsea, get her input. And Martinez, let me tell you something. Martinez is a value add person. Like he is always
Yes.
thinking, and has great insight, great questions too. Like he's the type of guy, he doesn't show up necessarily to speak. He shows up to listen and hear, and he keeps that conversation, like he gets us to a deep level in that conversation. I appreciate him so much. But Chelsea, I want to know, as a licensed therapist, the value and the dynamics of gratitude.
Oh, okay. So I was actually looking up some research last night. Because everything that we try to do is evidence based, right? We want to make sure that's working.
Yeah, for sure.
So I already kind of knew, but I wanted to make sure I had my information.
Right.
So it was really interesting. You know, we talked about the amygdala a couple weeks ago. So I have another part of the brain.
Yes. Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Yes. So we know that gratitude is a verb, right? It's an action word. It is something that we practice. It is the act of being thankful, or the act of relating a positive experience to yourself, right? You know. So there's a part of your brain called the hypothalamus, and it controls the functions of your body. So like sleeping, eating, drinking, and even your stress responses. So gratitude actually makes that part of your brain work better.
Really? Now say that again. What the hypothalamus is responsible for? What key areas again? I just want to make sure.
For like your functions. So eating, drinking, sleeping, even like your stress responses.
Really?
So
Okay.
if you're practicing gratitude, it's proven to help you sleep better. It helps reduce blood pressure.
Really?
It reduce depression.
Shut up.
You know, and yeah.
Now let me ask you. Okay, I want to get nerd level on you. Okay, I'm about to put the nerd on you. So are you saying that, like gratitude, Thanksgiving, those kinds of terms, are you saying the thought of that, and like you said, it's a verb. There's thought, and then there's the action behind that. But is that like a chemical response? Like in other words, there's a chemical response that happens because of being grateful?
Yes, for practicing it. So like sometimes I'll tell my clients that are like dealing with some depression or not sleeping well, hey, listen, 5 minutes before you go to bed, or 5 minutes when you wake up in the morning, like write out 10 things that you're grateful for, or 10 positive experiences that you've had, you know, things like that. So it is a chemical response in your body to something that you're actively doing.
I love that.
Now, is the hypothalamus, is that also responsible for like your releasing your endorphins and stuff like that? You know, like when you get kind of like
when you exercise, does your hypothalamus tell your body release that chemical? Like, and if we're getting deep, I apologize. Like we're just, you know.
No. You know, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know that it can activate the reward center of the brain. So like your dopamine, those kind of responses.
Interesting.
So like when you're exercising and you feel better, it's kind of got the same effect. So maybe it does activate that.
Well, it sounds like it.
That's wow. Good. So you're saying to me, which by the way, it kind of tags into what we talked yesterday. So
it does.
Number one, gratitude, okay, has an effect on your mood because it does change your brain chemistry, in the sense that there is some, which I would love, that might be an interesting deal to, you know, like how does that all transact, right? Like how is that one, you know, like where is, like, I know this might be crazy, this might sound hokey, but like where in your brain does like gratitude, like in other words, the idea of gratitude, where is that held that would cause your hypothalamus to respond? Like in other words, is there a step before that? Is there where like is like Thanksgiving gratitude, is that in a certain area of your brain? Like, in other words, I guess the cognitive faculty where you're having, like, is that how that works? Or, and again,
So
okay, go ahead.
actually, what's funny is, we talked about the prefrontal cortex. It's that front part of your brain that all your decision making, all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it also stores memory. It stores experiences. So when you practice gratitude, you're actively using your prefrontal cortex to remember positive experiences.
Oh, okay.
Which
so,
in turn makes you think better, makes you think clearer.
Now, and I just want to like clarify, because this is so this activity goes back to CBT in the sense that you literally are reconditioning your mind how to function. In other words, like, which, by the way, like, I think that is just in that sense right there, that's the beauty. Like, the Bible would say that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Tell me what other, like, and I could be wrong, but like, I'm pretty sure humans, we're the only ones that have the ability to have the awareness that we need to think differently, right? Like, animals respond, but humans, like, we have this ability to get above our, like, when I say above our thinking, but understand, like, it's almost like the outer body experience. Like, Jason, what are you doing? Like, that conversation, like, why are you, sitting here, judging yourself? Why? Like, I don't know. Like, that's just the beauty of, like, how wonderfully God has made us. But even that idea of, like, okay, Thanksgiving, it puts you into your memory bank to dig out something. And so, in other words, you have to find the experience and think about it in a certain way, and that affects the hypothalamus, right?
Basically, yes.
Dude, that's awesome, because and we talked a little bit about this. And by the way, Martinez, your thoughts on any of this? You jump in at any time. He said, I got something. He said, it's
I haven't
good
had
eating.
breakfast this morning, but this is good eating.
It's good eating. I love it because, like, okay, here we know you can go and like I just did this. Like, you can Google scriptures about, right, and somebody has blogged a list that you can just kind of look through, scan through. So, like, for instance, 1 Thessalonians, we're going to go to that one. Rejoice always.
You're still in my scripture, Jason.
Hey, you take it because I want to hear your thoughts on that.
No, okay, so I wanted to tie it in.
Please.
So in 1 Thessalonians, I can't remember, is it chapter 5?
5, absolutely.
Yes. Okay, so it says, like, in all things give thanks, for this is the will of God concerning you in Christ Jesus, right?
Yes.
So it's God's will for us to sleep better, to eat better, to have less stress, to have lower blood pressure, to be, like, healthy beings. Like, that's what God's will is for us as humans. Of course there's all those other things too, like working in your gifts and callings and all that, but, like, just a basic thought is, if you're practicing gratitude, those are the responses that your body has to God's will for your life.
I love that. And I would even say, like, even looking at the text, we could probably get real nerdy with the Greek and stuff, but, like, let's even look at that sequence. And I don't know what version this is, but I'm just going to let it rip. So, rejoice always, comma, pray continually, comma, give thanks in all circumstances, semicolon, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. And you're exactly right. Like, there is Jesus said, I've come to give you life more abundant. Okay, so and that doesn't mean that, like, everything's happy clappy and everything goes well. I think this text kind of identifies that, because, like, number one, rejoice always. Well, okay, what does that mean? I need to have an expressive, like, I'm not saying you have to be enthusiastic, but I don't think that there's anything. I think that's where we're getting that from. Is like, hey, rejoice, be glad, have happiness, have joy about yourself. Number two, pray. In other words, you need to lean on me for your problems. And then back to this being, give thanks in what?
all things,
circumstances, things, situations, problems. Let's just call it what it is. It's the elephant in the room right now, because nobody has a problem being grateful when things are going awesome. When the poo-poo hits the fan.
Right.
Well, I tell you, when you're talking, I just, this invitation from God, in all things give thanks, rejoice, pray. You know, and it's not really, you know, for a soldier in God's army, it's really not an invitation. It's a commandment in a way, you know. That's what soldiers are supposed to. That's what ambassadors, we're supposed to follow the decree of the king that we follow, you know. And so when you consider in light of what we are bombarded with on an everyday basis, you know, you cannot turn on the TV. You can't go to work without someone, you know, expressing gloom and doom. So there's this ongoing gravity from the world to actually kind of like pull you down, kind of like mentally oppress and suppress you to a point where, you know, it's hard for you to lift up your head. Oh, you gates, you know.
Oh yeah.
And so like, you know, it really takes a conditioning of the mind to actually get there, you know, this place of gratitude, this place of appreciation. But it's all for our good, because, you know, really just think if we did that for 30 days, we made that 60 days, you know, when we recognize, you know, cause you know, if we're being grateful, if we are in a spirit of thankfulness, then guess what? You know, we are more apt to understand whatever we think, you know, it's who we are, you know, and then, you know, if we think it, then we speak it, and then we connect with the idea of, you know, being able to speak life, because in the power of the tongue is life and death.
Right.
You know, but if your heart is being filled gloom and you're, you know, and you know, misery or woe is me kind of thing, then how are you to speak life in a dying world? You know, you become a product. So like gratefulness, there's something, so much hinges on gratefulness, you know, or being thankful.
Right.
You know, the eating, like sleep deprivation, you know, that's a multi-billion-dollar drug industry, you know, as is high blood pressure, as is, you know,
antidepressants.
Yes.
There you go,
multi-billion-dollar
there
industry.
You go.
And like when you look, the physicians, you know, besides anti-inflammatories, like mood drugs are like the number one drugs that they prescribe, you know?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, wow, we need a mind shift, and gratefulness gets us there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you know what's interesting about that, and this was what kind of sparked that conversation, and Chelsea, you kind of speak into this, but you know, I've heard it said before, it's hard to hold fear and gratitude simultaneously, or anger and gratitude simultaneously. Like, it's hard to have a negative, harmful emotion held simultaneously with somebody that's thinking gratitude. Is that a fair statement? Is that a factual statement?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't, it's like almost impossible to express two emotions at the same time, you know, like
right.
that. I mean, I'm sure it's possible, but it's difficult. You're not
right.
Like, I guess at some point your mind, I almost wonder, like, your mind kind of looks at you and says, pick. I'll be whatever you want me. If you want to be happy, let's roll. If you want to be upset, whatever you want, I'm going to express that.
Right.
And so I look at that. And by the way, Chelsea, you just said something so awesome about, like, hey, look, we're supposed to do callings and gifts and all that kind of stuff. But there's also this personal accountability because, all right, I'm going to give you a scripture. I'm going to drop something. All right. This is a Psalm. All right. Offer to God a sacrifice of thanksgiving and perform your vows to the Most High. What does that mean? I want you, by the way, sacrifice of thanksgiving. That means it's not always easy. In other words, sometimes something's got to die for you to give that sacrifice, right? So give thanksgiving and perform your vows. So I will say this. I think one of the biggest issues that we all are having unintentionally, right? Unintentionally, but we can be susceptible to this. We're so consumed about what's going on with us that we don't figure out how to go help someone else. Like, you don't even see anybody else because I'm absorbed with my fears, my problems, my issues. But gratitude allows me to, like, be in a state where, like, dude, I have it good. Like, I'm not saying that I'm satisfied, but I'm just simply saying I have no reason to focus on me. I'm alive. I am well. I am blessed. I'm favored. Like all of these things that we think about, and then it should lead into, let me keep my vows, or in other words, let me do the work assigned to me in this lifetime. Let me fulfill purpose. Like, let me not talk about my potential. Let me execute my purpose. Does that make sense?
Oh, that's good. It's so accurate, though. Sorry, Martinez. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead. Sorry, Chelsea.
No, I was just saying, like, it's so accurate, though, because, Jason, you were talking about how it's easy to, kind of focus on ourselves. Like, when we're having a hard time, we're so focused on what we're doing and how this is happening and what we're feeling that, maybe we're not fulfilling our vows to support other people and to help them. But if we got into this practice of, daily gratitude, if it was something that we did every morning when we woke up and before we went to bed at night, just, talking about the things we're thankful for or positive experiences we've had, at some point when things are bad, you may be able to see the things that are good in it. At some point. So
I agree. And I'm going to drop another this is like a kind of an opinion kind of deal, but like, let me just say this. If you're in a church that has people that's been in church, like, I call them the precious saints, right? Like they are either, late 50s or even in retirement age. They've been, they've been with the Lord for like decades. You know what I'm saying? Like they're those core people you look at and they're faithful, and they figured this out. They figured out because this is even the experience in prayer. When you're praying, begin with that gratitude. Like when I talk to somebody that, the first thing out of their mouth is all, like it's kind of cliche, but this is the attitude. Like, hey, I am blessed and I am highly favored. Like they can't help but have gratitude. Why? Because they have spent time expressing that gratitude in prayer and with praise. And I find that those are the most eager to help people you'll find. I love, like, if you are out there, like, you need to get with I just call them the precious saints, because they are just awesome people to learn from, because that's what I'm saying. They've just figured it out. We're sitting here with, like, we're freaking out because we've not lived enough. They've lived enough. They figured it out, and they're an example to us. Like, hey, I made it this far. You will too. I promise you. He's faithful. He's good in all things. Just give thanks. I don't know. What's y'all's thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think those saints are the ones that can truly recognize the scripture. I once was young, but now I'm old, and I never seen the righteous forsaken or the seed begging for bread. And so, if they've had a multiplicity of experiences, so absolutely, there's this song when I look back over my life and I think things over, I can truly say that I am blessed. I got a testimony, and so, like, it's kind of hard to say that at 10 or 15 or 20
right.
or 30 years of age, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, and then have them having children and having and just living their lives not just through them, but through the responsibilities of other people that they're accountable to. You know, yeah, they are treasures in the house of God. You know.
Oh, for sure.
And if we can like find a way to like, you know, capture what they have, like if they wrote a book and put it all their 55 or 60 or 100 years of living in a book, it won't take us 100 years to get there. We can read it in a day or two.
Yeah.
And just be that grateful.
Yeah.
And be the mental juggernauts that we need to be for a dying world, you know.
Mm-hmm.
As far as, you know, again, walking in, you know, it's not a, you know, we have to find a way to like walk in, you know, to kind of like it be a constant diet of our life, you know, in all things.
You know something, you kind of triggered something, and I want Chelsea's input on this before, and this might be the last kind of subtopic we ask. So Chelsea, you said gratitude seeks an experience, like not an experience, but like, you know, a memory, so to speak. Okay, so let me think of, because I have found this. I feel better when I do something for others, right? You know, it's better to give than receive, right? Like that kind of concept. Okay, well, scripturally principled efforts are this: you're saved to good works. You're not saved by good works, you're saved to good works. In other words, that's like the whole principle. Like God didn't just like, okay, you're good now, you got your passport to heaven. Like, no, you're called to good works. But what if, again, this is like just out there, right? I'm not saying this is factual, this is just an interesting thought. The good works, again, in God's providence, it's actually not even for others. It's still for you, because now you have an experience to go back to and be grateful about, that you were able to do something for, like, right? You can't help but feel good about helping other people. So what if in the providence of that, it's like, hey, I want you to do good for others, because number one, it's going to represent me, which gives me glory, but it's also going to bless you, which gives me glory. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think you completed the thought. I mean,
come on now.
You know, as humans, we store memory. And when you have good things to go back to, you have good memories, which in turn are good responses, which means that you have something good to dwell on. You know, when you are in a dark time or things are going wrong, and you can go back to, well, you know, I really enjoyed that minute when such and such happened, or I was able to be involved in, you know, handing out meals to homeless individuals, or, you know, whatever it may be. Even though things are bad right now, I remember that there were good times. Right. And that this isn't going to last always. You know, that was 2 weeks ago. Who's to say in 2 more weeks that I'm not going to be able to experience that again, you know?
Oh, that's good.
Well, I mean, it's almost, Chelsea, it's almost sounding like that, like when you say you remember, you know, trouble's not going to last always. It's like the bridge of hope, you know?
Sure.
And like, can you imagine what life would be like without this idea that, hey, this, you know, like without thinking or knowing that trouble doesn't last always, that God is still on the throne. Without that hope, you know, I don't, not to get into another subject, but I would think like you know, hope and gratitude or you know, they walk hand in hand, so to speak.
Right.
That's a good point.
I would go as far as to say it's a muscle. You got to exercise it. It's got something that you have to do every day, because, you know, at some point, if you're going to the gym every day and you're building, you know, you're weightlifting, you're doing all these things, like when you need to lift something for someone, you got to go back to, I remember how to do this. You know, I remember how to go there, how to do this properly. right? So you're going back to it. It's the same thing.
That
When
is
you're
so good.
you've practiced it in the good times, now you got a bad day. Let's go back to those things.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Oh my gosh. Well, guys, I hate to. It's 7:30. We could do this all day, but hey, we this is important though. Just to, like what you just even said, Chelsea. That's why we do this, because man, just taking about 15, 20, 30 minutes, man, to get some good conversation and stimulation to grow. Like I'm growing out of these conversations, and I want to publicly say, Chelsea Martinez, thank you for taking time to do this. You've got a busy schedule, both of you, and you said let me dive in here. You're getting value, but even more so, you're giving value. These are memories that we get to go back to today, right? Like hey,
Right,
today
right.
I'm grateful I got to do this and that. So, man, I love it. And I do want to thank everyone that's hopped on our different streams. We got folks that's been in and out on TikTok. Michelle, we see you on Facebook. Thank you so much for hopping in. She said, what a great topic, and she agrees that God does love a cheerful giver. We do give to others of ourselves, and just good stuff. So anyways, guys, look, continue to have a great day. Be blessed. Be great. You have so much to be thankful for. You just have to express that. It's a verb, like Chelsea said. It's action. Take action. Think on these things. Write these things out. And by the way, if you really want to get that hit, go do something for somebody, and you can't help but feel good and be grateful. So be blessed. Be great. We'll see you tomorrow, 7 a.m. morning show. Might even see if I can't get these folks back on here. Or if there's any of you that's ready to get rolling, hit me up. Text me. I want to get you on the stream. All you got to do is have a Clubhouse account, and we'll get things rolling. But anyways, we'll catch you later.